Coach, when they switched opponents from Tennessee to Army, the first two guys I thought of were you and Jamal, and how you had to get these guys prepared. How do you simulate what they're doing? Who's running the scout team? Oh, walk me through some of the issues that you've got right now preparing for these guys.
I don't know that you can simulate it, to be honest with you. You got to think about it. It's a totally different offense in every aspect. The how they block, the blocking schemes, the motions, the shifts, the trades than what you ever see in normally 12 ball games. So can you simulate that in 10 days? Probably not. You try the best you can. I think everybody has their own different ways of doing it. You try to call guys and pick up on different things. So the simulation part of it, it's really hard. You can do it. You try it. To simulate it with live bodies is really the hardest part. You can roll, whether it's you're simulating the cut blocks or the chop blocks, and you can roll cut balls all you want to. It's not a helmet and pads coming at your knees or your feet or your hips. Really, the fit side of it, the motions, that's probably a little easier. I mean, once that's defined, it's just like any other offense where you have moving pieces. So that's a little easier. But actually, how they run it, I don't know that unless you practice against that offense that you can really simulate a live look on that.
I'm guessing, though, getting penetration, regardless of what you face, is a key to
Yeah.
anything disrupt what they do.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they have 11, we have 11. And if they're all 11 have a gap, every guy on their offense represents a gap. And if all 11 are doing their job, then it tends to work out. If 10 do it and they got 11 doing it, then it tends to probably not work out.
Mitch Davis, go ahead.
Coach, talked to Coach Parker just right before you came on about the culture of West Virginia football and being that family. Coach, talk about what's going on inside the locker room and kind of reiterate that the culture of winning and the culture of exchanging gifts at Christmas and going tubing on the snow stuff, and just Coach, just talk about that culture.
Well, it's just like anything else you're trying to get better at, whether it's blocking, tackling, getting to the ball. You have to, not. I don't know if practice is the right word, but you have to implement your culture. You can put it on a board, and you can talk about it. You can make notes about it. You can make graphics and signs, but you have to practice what you preach, and that's. I think Coach Brown and everything that we do is something that it's an every, and it's like leadership or character or anything else. It's not that you don't have it on Tuesday and lose it on Friday. You either have it or you don't. So like with your culture, you either practice that on a daily basis, you preach that on a daily basis, you implement that on a daily basis, or it's nothing more than a graphic on the wall. So that's, those things that you just talked about, like that's, and it's inside the meeting rooms, and hopefully it's with our guys inside the locker room. It's in the staff rooms. It's everything. That's who you want to be, offense, defense, special teams, whatever it is. It has to be every day, or it don't happen, or you don't have it.
Kevin Kinder, go ahead.
Jordan, you touched on this a little bit, but wondering about how you overall think about it. You like to attack upfield, get penetration, obviously. Sometimes that would seem it could open seams, and if Army has the right play called in the right spot, that's a gap for them to exploit, just like a running quarterback can do. So is there a balance in how you structure what you're trying to do so you don't get like too out of shape, too unlevel in the front?
Yeah, you gotta present some different things. You gotta play. You gotta have. One thing I know about this offense is they have answers for everything you do. And so you better have answers also, and you better have different ways to present things. And so that's one way to do it is what you're talking about. Have a certain set of calls that do that, or a certain set of calls that do this, and we're still working on that, still building that. It's a lot of things that when you coach against this offense, a lot of things you have to, you start with a broad thing, a broad canvas, and you try to, see what works on it, and then you start to try to narrow that thing down, because you've got to be, you got to be able to but it's no different than any other week. We got to be able to play fast, and so that's the biggest thing.
Mike Casaza, go ahead.
Hey, Jordan, what's up?
Hey, Mike, how are you, bud?
I'm great, thanks. Hey, you're not unfamiliar with this offense. You've seen it a couple times live and in person down at Holmes. What did you learn through the years against that, and is it at all helpful and mobile for this week?
I learned to tape your ankles. Make sure your ankles are taped. That's one thing. The other thing is what I just is what I was just talking about is you have to put a lot of things at the beginning on and hey, you talk to guys throughout, guys you've met, guys you've coached with, against, whatever that have the knowledge of this, and you kind of start with a broad spectrum of things, and then you really kind of got to get it narrowed down to what you like to do or what you think fits, and at the same time what fits what your guys can do. And everybody's built a little different. So one thing that's good for a defense that's specifically recruited to that style of defense, one thing against this offense may be better, to where the other thing may be worse. And I got the utmost respect going all the way back to Coach Stowers at Holmes, and how he man, that guy had if you give him this, he had an answer for it. You give him this, he had an answer for it constantly, and it was a constant chess match. And I learned so much from it was the worst week of my life when we played Holmes. But looking back on it, I learned so much, and I'm so thankful to go back and have had that opportunity. Especially when you look up and your opponents change, and then here you go, here's who you got. So it definitely helps.
Cody Nesper, go ahead.
Hi, Jordan. In the past, you've kind of talked about that your scheme is to kind of flow the offense towards the bandit. Is it possible to do that against an option?
I mean, if you want to put that one guy in that situation, you could, but not necessarily. No, you can't. You can't say, hey, because most offenses that you face are going to say, well, I'm going to attack. They're weak in this area with this guy, and they're going to. So you try to force them away from that. If you get a beat on it, if they get a beat on another guy, they change. Where this offense is attacking, numbers. They're not attacking not one guy. They're attacking the picture here and the picture here. So, no, you really can't.
John Antonic.
Curious, again, not to make a mountain out of a molehill or otherwise, but they have so many different guys carry the ball. Mm-hmm. And I know personnel groupings and things like that are part of what you do. Is there a level of confusion? Who's got the ball? Where are they coming from? All of that stuff. You know what I mean? How do you work your guys through those things?
Well, like I said earlier, there's 11 gaps on the football field, and if they change it to 12, y'all let me know, because I could use 12 against this offense. But for when we kick off Thursday, it'll be 11, and so 11 gaps, 11 guys. They have to fit in their gap, play with the correct, proper leverage. And it's really to where it seems like complicated when you're looking at it. If I tell you have this, and this week in practice you go to that and you stop and you stay there and don't move. And you're just it's kind of something that you just got to, those guys, I don't know what their exact schedule is, but I'm sure they have the things that they drill outside of football, and the reason they do that is so it becomes second nature. You got to try to do that whenever we found out what the opponent, 10 days. You got to try to do that in 10 days, 7 days. In junior college, it was really tough because you had 3 days because we played on Thursdays, right? So you had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and that was it. So it's one of those things. It's repetition, and the difference in what they do as opposed to Mike mentioned Holmes is they have the higher you go, they have more sets of plays, more formations, more motion. So you have more to rep, but you got to find the way to try to get it all in. And so it's just getting those guys, just drill it in their head. That's what you got.
Last one for me. I know you're getting into the heavy prep today and tomorrow, but do you sense your guys embracing this challenge? This is something unique. Does it pick their interest a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. I mean, I think that this game, I think the guys are extremely excited. I mean, when this game, when it happened, and it had a lot of national attention, and rightfully so. I mean, this team deserves to be in a bowl game, and so, the guys are excited, and to have that another opportunity to play. For some guys, it's another opportunity to get video, even though it's a little bit different opponent. Still, another opportunity to get some video out there, and it's not guys. And it's. I think the guys are. It's so unique, and it's so different prep. A football season gets into a battle rhythm, and a lot of times you try to think of ways to change it because the same things don't get redundant, and guys are like, oh, I got to do this drill on Tuesday, this drill. Well, this is totally different. It's like, all right, guys, this is how we're going to prepare for this, and they're like, oh, really? I mean, it's totally different what we've been doing. So it's just kind of it's a change up more than anything, in that light as far as practice. But the actual challenge, I mean, they're extremely deserving to be in this bowl, and man, it's exciting for everybody. I'm excited. I hadn't. I always thought coaching against this offense made you a better football coach because it is where football, really is kind of the bare. It's the foundation of it. It's the roots of it, and you get a picture of of how they approach it, and it's a respect more than anything. But I think it makes you a better coach.
Kevin Kinder, go ahead.
Following up on your better tape your ankles quote, so there's a little bit of humor in that, but it seems like there's some truth behind it. Is that just because you're changing direction all the time, you better be ready to play, or something specific sparked that?
Well, I mean, I think everybody goes into this knowing how they block certain things, and they're good at it, and it's not that something that we really spend a lot of time on, and I never have, to be honest with you, because I don't think if you do what we're taught on day one, okay, like the defensive line, you go in my room in there, it's got one thing on the wall. It says eyes, hands, hips, feet, and strike, see, shed, go. So if you come off the ball and use your hands, which is what you're taught to do on day one, then you're fine. So it's really no more complicated than a day one fundamental that we teach the first day. If I brought a true freshman in here and said, hey, this is how you play defensive line at West Virginia, if you use that same technique, you're going to be fine. Now, your aiming point may be a little different. The block may look a little different than a normal base block, reach block, cutoff, double team, whatever it is. So, but, I mean, how they block it, I mean, everybody sees it on film, and I know that's a question they're always going to get, and it's hard to simulate that because you're not going to go out here and cut your guys, in a bowl game live at practice. You're not going to do that. So, but if you always go back